In this video, you'll be introduced to the various clients of Lync Server 2013 and the features supported by them. At Carve Rock Fitness, we have a very big challenge on our hands. We have a lot of different types of clients. The desktops are mostly running Windows 7 and Windows 8. But we also have a lot of portable clients, and we haven't standardized on the client type. The mobile clients are running mostly Windows Mobile and Android operating systems, but we also have some Apple-based clients, iPhones and iPads. Let's take a look at some of our choices. Before we take a look at all the different clients, let's take a look at the client comparison tables out at TechNet. Switched over to a web browser, and inside of a search engine, I've typed in Lync 2013 Client Comparison Tables. And as you can see down below, I've got a link for technet.microsoft.com, and we're going to click on that link. As you can see, this has linked me over to TechNet, and I've got my client comparison tables for Lync Server 2013. The client comparison tables compare the features and the capabilities of the various clients that are supported with Lync 2013. As we look through the table will provide a breakdown of the different features that are supported or not supported for the various clients. And the feature sets are broken down into categories. We have enhanced presence support, contact and contact group support, IM support, conferencing, telephony, external user support, and archiving and compliance. As you scroll down through the tables, you can see the category like enhanced presence support, and then you've got a breakdown of the various clients and the features that they support or do not support. We have Lync 2013, the Lync Windows Store app, Lync 2013 Basic, the web-based application called Lync Web App, Lync 2010 Attendant, the Lync Phone Edition, the Communicator for Mac 2011, and Lync for Mac 2011. As you scroll down through the list, you can see all the different categories and the features that are supported or not supported. Now, as another example, you can see that I have a link over here to the mobile phone features. And it's a web page that's almost identical, but it's a comparison of your mobile clients. So as I scroll down, you can see the various mobile clients and the features that they support or do not support. And as you can see, we have the Windows mobile phone support, iPhone, iPad, Android, and Nokia Symbian. Let's go back to our slide presentation. Let's start with an overview of the various clients. With Microsoft Lync Server 2013, Microsoft has developed a brand new Lync client, the Lync 2013 client. The Lync 2013 client has a brand new user interface, and it is the most robust client to use with Lync. It also has some newly integrated features that we didn't have back with the Lync 2010 client. With Lync 2010, we had a separate client that we would install for chat. Well, that's built into Lync 2013 now. We call it persistent chat. We can also tab between our conversations, and another feature which I really like is the video preview. You can preview your video before sending it. We also have a leaner, stripped-down version of Lync 2013. It's called Lync 2013 Basic. The Lync 2013 Basic client has its own separate install. It doesn't have to be installed as part of Microsoft Office. It provides the same core functionality as Lync 2013, but it's lacking some of the advanced features. For example, you cannot manage your delegates with Lync 2013 Basic, or make calls on behalf of another user. The Basic client doesn't have spell checking built in, and it doesn't integrate with SharePoint Skill Search for more advanced search capabilities from inside of your Lync client. When you install the Microsoft Lync Server 2013 client on a desktop, your Outlook client will get enhanced with an online meeting add-in for Lync 2013. If you want to think of it like a plugin, it enhances the functionality of what you can do inside of Outlook. From inside of your Microsoft Outlook client, you'll be able to schedule your online meetings with Microsoft Lync. When you're scheduling a meeting, you can define who can get into the meeting directly without waiting in the lobby, and who can be a presenter. The new client also has a new attendee mute control, so when you're scheduling a meeting, when a user joins into the meeting, they'll be muted as a default. The majority of the clients at Carve Rock Fitness will be administering their conferences coming in through Microsoft Outlook. Most of the clients have up-to-date Microsoft operating systems, and they have Microsoft Office Outlook installed. We also have some Linux-based clients deployed on our network. And for these clients, they're going to administer their conferences coming in through a web scheduler. With Lync Server 2013, the web scheduler is built right into the product. If you open up the Internet Information Services Administration console on a front-end server, you should notice a virtual directory for the scheduler application. It's installed automatically, we just have to configure it, and this is done mostly coming in through the command line. So connecting into a web-based console, you can now configure and administer your conferences. As an end user, you have the ability to create new meetings, modify existing meetings, and you can send out invitations using your preferred email program. For clients in the organization that don't have Microsoft Lync installed, they're not prevented from being able to participate in conferences. In fact, Microsoft has a Lync web-based application. It's a web app that is a full-featured client for participating in conferences. In Lync Server 2010, the web app did not provide audio and video integration. That's not the case with Lync 2013. It's now been added in. And now since your web app has audio and video integrated into it, Microsoft has decommissioned the Lync 2010 attendee client. So we don't have a version of the Lync 2010 attendee for Lync 2013. To use the Lync web app, you have to have a supported operating system, and Microsoft supports the product on IE 8, 9, and 10, both 32-bit and 64-bit. The Lync web application is also supported on versions of Firefox, Apple Safari, and Google Chrome. When you send a meeting request out to a user that does not have the Lync client installed, when they click on the link and they connect over to your Microsoft Lync environment, the client will be prompted to connect into the meeting using the web-based application. The web app is automatically deployed on your front-end servers in a pool. You do want to know that there are certain features of the web app that do require an ActiveX plugin down on your client. And since the voice, video, and sharing features of the web app require the ActiveX Control plugin, we're going to look at deploying that in advance for the clients. Microsoft also provides a touch-optimized Lync application, which is designed to run specifically on top of Windows 8 and Windows RT. Windows RT is codenamed Windows on ARM, and it's a special Microsoft Windows operating system designed to run on mobile devices, utilizing the ARM architecture such as a lot of your tablets. You can download the Lync application through the Windows Store by searching for the word Lync. As for the mobile clients, Microsoft Lync Server 2013 does support all of the Microsoft Lync 2010 mobile applications. For users in your organization connecting from a smartphone or a phone running a professional edition of Windows Mobile, the Microsoft Lync 2010 Mobile provides instant messaging, enhanced presence, and telephony support. We're not going to go too in-depth with the mobile devices right now because we have a whole nother video just on that topic. Another very important client is our Lync Phone Edition. Lync Phone Edition is software that runs on top of qualified devices. These are devices that have gone through the Unified Communications Open Interoperability Program testing. The software can run on top of IP-based phones, USB-attached phones, and on top of some of your conferencing devices. For clients that are going to be handling a large call volume, we have the Lync 2010 Attendant. So if you work in a call center or maybe you're an operator, this may be the client that you want to use. It's a client that has multiple windows inside of the console, and it's designed for multitasking with your communication. If you look at the client comparison tables out at TechNet, the client comparison features are very similar between the Lync client and your Attendant client. For the Macintosh-based clients, Microsoft provides the Lync for Mac 2011 and the Communicator for Mac 2011. The Lync for Mac 2011 client can be purchased as part of the Microsoft Office for Mac 2011 volume licensing. It's also available through many of the Microsoft licensing programs. We also have the Communicator for Mac 2011, and this too is a very robust client. It provides real-time audio and video call capabilities. You can also join scheduled meetings and participate in them using features like your desktop sharing. Now that we have a basic understanding of all these client choices available with Lync, let's take a look at client installation and configuration. With Microsoft Lync Server 2013, Microsoft has made a departure from the way that the previous releases were installed. The full version of the Lync client no longer has its own installer. The Lync 2013 client is now installed as part of Microsoft Office 2013. So to install Lync 2013, you would use the Office 2013 installation methods in the customization tools. At Carverock Fitness, we have a volume license agreement with Microsoft, and Lync 2013 is available via the Microsoft Volume Licensing Service Center. The primary tool for customizing the installation of Office 2013 is the OCT, the Office Customization Tool. But we can define additional instructions that are not available in the OCT by using a config.xml file. By default, the config.xml file is stored inside of the Core Products folder for the various applications of Office 2013. So what are some of the things that you can configure through the config.xml file? You can add or remove languages from the installation. You can copy the local installation source to the user's computer. You can define the path of the network installation point, and you can define your logging levels. When deploying Office 2013, the setup executable command line is used for very few operations in the deployment, very similar to that of Office 2010 and Office 2007. But setup.exe can be used with several different switches or options to call upon the config.xml files. For example, you can use the config switch to specify the config.xml file that setup uses during the installation. By default, the product looks for the config.xml file that's stored in the core products folder, but the setup.exe can also be used for uninstalling and repairing the product also. To configure the policy settings down on our clients, we typically use what's called in-band provisioning. And that means that when your client connects up to the Microsoft Lync server, the Lync server provides the policy information down to your client. So the Lync administrator, by defining policies, can control the settings down on your clients. With Lync Server 2013, we also have the ability to apply policy settings to your clients through Active Directory-based GPOs, Group Policy Objects. With Microsoft Office 2013, Microsoft has created some new ADMX and ADML files, replacing the old communicator.adm file. You may see these being used with client bootstrapping policies, and these are policy settings that we want to push down to your client before they even connect up to the Lync environment. Like, for example, defining the pool that you log into, or possibly the authentication method that you use. By importing these administrative templates into our Active Directory GPOs, it allows Active Directory to push down settings to our Lync 2013 clients. Most of the clients at Covrock Fitness have been updated in the last couple of years, but we have to make certain of this because with Microsoft Lync 2013, we have certain software requirements. The minimum requirement for the Windows operating system is Windows 8, Windows 7, or Windows Server 2008 R2 with the latest service pack. In order to install the client, it does require administrative access. The minimum browser requirements supported are Internet Explorer 7 through IE10 and Mozilla Firefox. To be able to use the full set of integration features on your client, it does require Outlook 2010 or Outlook 2013. With the prior version of Microsoft Lync, Lync 2010, we had a single MSI file that was used to control your deployment, and it was called lync.msi. With the Office 2013 Windows installer, it's a Windows installer-based package that consists of multiple MSI files, including language-specific files and also the package-specific files. So there are multiple MSI files included with the Office 2013 Windows installer. So the setup routine will assemble the individual packages and perform whatever necessary customization is required and maintenance tasks during the installation process. The number one tool that we have for customizing the installation of Office 2013 is called the Office Customization Tool, or the OCT. To launch the OCT, we run setup.exe with a /admin switch from the root directory of the installation media for Office 2013. The utility allows you to configure a lot of the settings to control the installation process, including the installation directory, the product key, and end user licensing agreement. We can also customize user settings and define how the features are installed, and this may be very useful, especially with Outlook. Another brand new feature with Lync Server 2013 is that clients now support audio and video in a virtual desktop infrastructure environment. In order to use this feature, we have to deploy the Lync VDI plugin. To use this new feature, we have requirements both on the virtual machine side and on the client side. The virtual machines can be running either Windows 8, Windows 7, or Windows Server 2008 R2 with the latest service packs. For your local machine requirements, the local computer must be running Windows Embedded Standard 7 with SP1, Windows 7 with SP1, or Windows 8. The VDI plugin also comes in two formats, a 32-bit and a 64-bit version. You have to make sure that you install the correct version for the platform that you're running on. The local computer must also be running the latest version of the remote desktop client. And on the local computer, the remote desktop client settings must be configured so that the audio plays on the local computer and so that the remote recording is disabled. As an alternative to deploying the full Lync client as part of the Office 2013 install, we can also deploy Lync Basic. The installer for Lync Basic is a file called linkentry.exe, and it comes in a 32-bit and a 64-bit version. Before deciding whether to deploy Lync Basic on some of your clients, you have to look at the features supported by this stripped-down Lync client. At Covrock Fitness, we have several individuals that handle a lot of calls, such as our operators and people working on the call center. These clients may want to use the Lync attendant instead of the Lync client. You can get the MSI file off of the Microsoft Lync Server 2010 distribution disk. It comes in a form of a single MSI, so we just have to look at how we're going to deploy the MSI out to the clients. In the next demonstration, we're going to take a look at installing several Lync clients. We'll install the Lync Basic client and also the Lync Attendant console. In this demonstration, we're going to see how to install the Lync Basic client. You'll notice that I have the Lync entry executable on my desktop of my Windows 7 based machine. I'm going to double click on Lync entry. Here I have my user account control dialog box, and I'll provide my administrative credentials. And then we'll click on Yes. You can see that we're extracting the files. Now you have to remember that the Lync Basic client, it is a Microsoft Lync 2013 client, but it's a stripped down version of the Lync 2013 client which is included as part of the Microsoft Office install. The Lync Basic client doesn't have the ability to search for response groups, and it's missing a lot of the advanced calling features, like for example delegate access, to be able to set up delegates. When you go to install the Lync Basic client, you can click on Install Now, or you can click on the option to customize. The customization is very basic. You can choose the components that you want to install, and the only piece that's not getting installed by default here is your Office shared features. You have your file location, which defaults to Program Files Microsoft Office, and you can see the amount of space that's required for the installation. We also have user information, and this is used for tracking changes to Microsoft's shared Office documents. I'm going to click on Install Now. Keep in mind that with your Lync Basic client, you will be lacking certain features like if you're used to using the spell checker, if you need integration with skill search. We have a lot of conferencing support, but we also have lack of support for your telephony, so you can't transfer calls, you can't manage call forwarding, you don't have the ability to manage delegates, you can't even connect to voicemail. So this is a nice convenient client when you need it in a pinch, but if you're working in a corporate environment and you're an enterprise voice-enabled client, you probably want to use the full Lync client to gain access to your voicemail or possibly set up delegates. As you can see, we're done with the installation of Microsoft Lync Basic. To launch the program, we're going to click on the Office Programs shortcut on our Start menu. Here we'll go to All Programs, Microsoft Office 2013, and then inside of there you see that I have Lync 2013. Now keep in mind that I have actually done some things behind the scenes that we haven't seen throughout our video series yet. We're going to see how to create advertisement records out in our DNS server that allow your client to automatically discover how to connect into the environment. We have SRV records and host records that have been created already which you haven't seen, but we'll see that in the next video. So here you can see that I've logged on as Zachary at carverockfitness.com. I'm logged in as Zachary Evans, and I'm showing as being available. If I need to gain access to my configurable options, I click on the Options button. And here we go, we have access to our Lync Basic configurable settings. Let's click on Cancel. Then we'll close out of the program. We'll click on Exit and shut it right down. Let's take a look at another installation. In this demonstration, we're going to see how to install the Microsoft Lync 2010 Attendant. The Lync 2010 Attendant is the attendant console used with Microsoft Lync 2013. The attendant console has not been updated. Using the legacy attendant console would be something that's used by people handling large call volume. The attendant console is an application that provides multiple windows so you can multitask between your contacts, your incoming calls, your current conversations, and so forth. So in order to install the Lync 2010 Attendant, we use the attendantconsole.msi file. Here you can see it on my desktop of my Windows 7 based machine. I'm going to double click on it, and you can see the Windows installer package is opening up. And once again, I should be prompted for my credentials to make changes to the local PC due to the user account control. Here I'm getting welcomed to the Microsoft Lync 2010 Attendant setup, and we'll click on Next. We'll accept the terms of the licensing agreement. We'll click on Next again, then choose the directory where we're going to install the Microsoft Lync Attendant to. The default is our Program Files, Microsoft Lync Attendant. We'll click on Next, and then we click on Install. And once again, we're going to sit back and wait for the installation to proceed. Next, I'm prompted for my credentials to make changes to my local PC. So here I'll put in my admin credentials. And then click on Yes. Now the installation of the Lync Attendant is completed. We'll click on Finish, and then we'll go launch the client-side software and see what it looks like. To launch my Attendant console, I'm going to go to my Start button. I can see that I have it right there, Microsoft Lync Attendant, but if I go to All Programs, I also have it listed here underneath my All Programs. So as you can see, I'm launching the Lync 2010 Attendant, and I'm currently logged on as Katrina at carverockfitness.com. So my client should go out and auto-discover how to connect into the Lync environment, and as you can see, my Lync 2010 Attendant has opened up and I'm able to connect into the environment. You'll notice inside of the Lync 2010 Attendant that it has very similar features to a Lync client, where here you can make calls, phone calls, conference calls, IM or group instant messaging. I can follow up. So here I have no conversations marked for follow-up. And I also have my configurable settings. So here's where you can gain access to your options for your Lync 2010 Attendant. Personal settings, actions and alerts, your phone configuration settings, and also your general options. We'll cancel off of that. I also have my audio controls. Check call quality. You can also set up your audio. And then over to the right, you see that I have my availability information or my present state, and that can be modified also. Let's close out of the Lync Attendant. And next we'll take a quick look at the Lync 2010 client. In this demonstration, we're going to take a look at installing the Microsoft Lync 2010 client. You have to remember that with Lync Server 2013, the Lync 2010 client is a valid client that can register and authenticate up against a Lync 2013 pull. And with such a large installation base of Lync 2010 clients out there, you should be familiar with it. Now keep in mind that the administrator of a Lync 2013 server can configure the version control policies to either allow or not allow the legacy clients to be able to connect. Well, in this demonstration, I'm going to invoke the Lync MSI by manually kicking off the installer. But you can also push out the Lync MSI through scripting with MSI exec, or you can use other deployment technologies such as System Center Configuration Manager or SMS. So here when I double click on the Lync MSI, it's prompting me for my administrative credentials through the user account control. So here I'll provide administrator, and then I'll provide my password. The next property sheet, I'm getting prompted for the location to install the Lync client to. The default is Program Files, Microsoft Lync. I'll click on Install. On the next property sheet, I'm being prompted for my Microsoft Update settings. On my virtual environment, I'm going to click on that I do not want to use Microsoft Update. Now, as we go to install the client, the product is going to check to make sure that I have my Visual C++ redistributable installed. It will also make sure that I have Silverlight installed. So here you can see that I don't have the Silverlight installed, so it's installing it for me on my client. And then we're done. We've just installed our Lync client. So let's kick off the Lync client and see what it looks like. You can see that I'm logging in as Zachary at carverockfitness.com. And then we've successfully logged into Microsoft Lync. Now from inside of my Lync client-side software, you can see the similarities to the Lync 2013 client. Up above I see that I'm logged on as Zachary Evans. I've got the ability to control my availability, my present state. Down below, I currently do not have a location defined, but if I opt to, I can provide a location manually by typing it in. At the bottom of the console, you have contact administration. I can view prior activity feeds. I can also view my prior conversations. Now, up at the top, I also have my configurable settings. So underneath my file drop-down menu choice, I can sign out, I can change my sign-in address, I can even exit out of the program and shut it down completely. You've got your Meet Now option, and underneath Tools, this is where we gain access to our options. Now, the quicker method here is you can just click on that button, it brings you right into your options. So very similar to your Lync Server 2013 client, you have General Settings, You got your personal settings, including how you're going to sign in to Lync. So in this case over here, I'm configured for automatic sign-in or automatic discovery. So my client went out to DNS and it found my advertisements for the pool through SRV records. You've got your status configuration. You have the ability to control the settings for displaying a picture, whether it's a personal picture that you have on a web address, or possibly one that's been loaded up into AD, or if you opt to, maybe you don't want to show a picture at all. We have phone configuration, alerts, your ringtones and sounds, audio device configuration. My virtual machine here does not have one configured, and the same holds true for my video device. And then also, just like your Lync 2013 client, we can choose where we're going to save files to that are transferred, peer-to-peer file transfer, for example, or possibly Lync recording. So if you record a video presentation, this is where I'll save it to by default, Lync recordings. Here we'll click on OK, and then we'll close out of the client. In this demonstration, we're going to see how to install the full Microsoft Lync client for Lync 2013. As you'll notice on my Windows 7 desktop, I have Office Professional Plus 2013. The Lync client is part of the Office suite. So when I double click on my media installation directory, here you see that I have the setup program, and then I'm prompted for my credentials through user account control. So here I'll provide my admin account. And then click on yes. On the next property sheet, I'm going to accept the terms of the licensing agreement. We'll click on continue. Now, as you go through the installation, you can click on the option to customize the install, and this is where you can choose the components that you want to install. And you'll notice that Microsoft Lync is on the list, and it's chosen to run from my computer by default. You can also choose your file location where you want to install the product to. You can see the space requirements to install the products. We have our user information, and again, the user information is used by Microsoft Office to track modifications to shared Office documents. And then we have our Platform tab, and you can see here that I'm installing the 32-bit Microsoft Office 2013 on a 64-bit desktop. That's okay for my demonstration. We'll click on Install Now. At this point, the installation should run fairly automated, so we're just going to sit back and watch the installation proceed. As you can see, the Microsoft Office suite is completely installed on my PC. I'm going to click on Close, and then let's go take a look at my Microsoft Lync client. Here I have Microsoft Office 2013. Then inside of there you have Lync 2013. Since your Microsoft Lync full client is very similar to Lync Basic, all we need to see here is your Lync client going to launch? So we've installed it successfully. Let's go back to the presentation. Another extremely important client that we have with Lync Server 2013 is called Lync Phone Edition. Lync Phone Edition is software that runs on qualified devices, and it provides your clients with a lot of your traditional telephony features and some more advanced features that are integrated with Microsoft Lync. Lync Phone Edition works the same way with Lync Server 2013 as it did with Lync Server 2010. Microsoft Lync Phone Edition has support for various types of clients. We have desk phones such as in the graphic where we have a Polycom VVX 500 series IP-based phone. A desk phone is typically a handset IP or USB-based device designed to be used by an employee working off of their desk. We've also got support for common area phones, and these are phones that are exposed in a common area, so they're typically used by anybody passing by that wants to use the phone. So you may find these phones in a lobby or a common area such as in a hallway or a cafeteria. We also have support for meeting room devices. This would be your third category. A meeting room device is typically a hands-free device used in a meeting room, which is typically used for conferencing. So here you see an example of a Polycom meeting room device. When purchasing devices for Microsoft Lync Server 2013, you want to take a look at the Unified Communication Open Interoperability Program website. Devices that are qualified for Microsoft Lync Server 2013 have gone through extensive testing and they meet certain specifications. The program defines specifications for interoperability in testing, not only for Microsoft Lync Server 2013, but also for integration with Microsoft Exchange Server for your voicemail. When you purchase devices from this program, they also come with a quick start guide so that you can plug your device in and get up and running quickly. With Microsoft Lync Phone Edition with your IP-based phones, there's a lot of planning and configuration required in order for these devices to work properly within your infrastructure. For example, in order to deploy your IP-based phones, we have to go into our topology builder, and we have to define our mediation servers and our gateways. We also have to configure dial plans, and dial plans control how the numbers that your clients dial get translated over to an E.164 format. E.164 is an International Telecommunications Union recommendation, and it defines the International Public Telecommunication Numbering Plan used in the PSTN and other types of networks. So, to cut through all that verbiage, what it means is that when we dial a number, the number gets translated over to a format that is typically comprised of a plus symbol followed by a full number string. So you might dial a number like 2000, and all of a sudden it gets translated by your client over to plus 16172252000. It's used by Microsoft Lync for reverse lookup and also for routing purposes. Don't worry about the details for that now. We're going to see how to set this all up in the enterprise voice portion of the course. We also have to configure voice policies, and voice policies control the features that your users can use. For example, can you park a call or can you transfer a call? They also control where you can dial to, and that's controlled through PSTN usage records and the corresponding routes associated with them. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, we also have other requirements with your DNS, your DHCP, and also with your web services. Let's take a look at an architectural overview or a high-level overview of what's going on with your Microsoft Lync voice over IP infrastructure of enterprise voice. In this diagram, we have a mile-high overview of the infrastructure dependencies for Microsoft Lync IP-based phones to function within your environment. Let's start off with our DHCP at the top of the console. When my IP phone powers up and it obtains an IP address from DHCP, the IP phone also obtains certain options. Now, these options can be allocated from Microsoft Lync, or they can be allocated by your enterprise DHCP server. Option number 120 provides the FQDN of the registrar pool. It tells your IP phone where it has to connect to in order to register within the Lync environment, like for example connecting over to the front-end pool, a standard edition server, or possibly a survivable branch appliance or a survivable branch server out at a branch site. Option number 43 provides the Certificate Provisioning Services URL. This is used by your IP-based phones when they're first connected to the network and they're logged in for the first time. They connect to that Certificate Provisioning Services URL to obtain a certificate that's used for future registration requests by your IP device. So, for example, in the case of a branch office, even if we lose our connectivity across the WAN link, these devices can still register up against the survivable branch appliance or survivable branch server. Option number 43 can also be used for VLAN identification, but you have to know how your network infrastructure is laid out, because we also have integration with link layer discovery protocol enabled switches. Your DHCP server can also allocate the NTP server identifier, your time sync server that your clients use so that they can sync up their time. If your IP device is unable to obtain the registrar FQDN by option 120, it can also auto-discover by using DNS through SRV records, but it's a secondary choice by those clients. It likes to use DHCP first. Your DNS server also requires entries for your pool identifiers, so we have A records for your pool, for your servers in the pool. It also has a record that's used to identify where your clients have to connect to gain access to the device update services, which runs on your web services, out on your front-end servers, and your standard edition servers. With Microsoft Lync 2013, the device update services is used by the product for pushing out patches to your clients. When your clients power up and they go out and they hit the DNS server and they obtain the host record with the IP addressing information for where to connect to for device updates, they connect over to the web services using port 443 and they obtain a listing of patches that we've approved for deployment. And then they pull those patches down over port 80 and they install them. So it's a nice way to automate the process of pushing down patches to a lot of these devices. Keep in mind that this is just a high-level overview and there's a lot of detail to all these different steps. Well, that's the end of our client presentation. I hope you've enjoyed the video.